Finally, we get to show off the protagonist of the collab. And even though he's the protagonist of the Guyver collab, the way how he works is pretty weird, cause he somewhat slowly gets better the longer the fight goes on, once you fulfill certain requirements. But is he truly good though, despite those factors? Well, let's go see what he's all about and how to build him. So with this talent, his attack and defense are increased. At the start of the turn, randomly gets one type of aggressive evolution effect not yet possessed. Cannot be dispelled and lasts for 2 turns. Utilizes of the advantages of these evolution to amplify it, making it a permanent effect. Upon triggering an upgrade, immediately gains one additional type of evolution effect not yet possessed. I really hate how they don't tell you from the menu and they force you to go into battle to see these mechanics. But luckily there's those preview stage for people to test out the new characters. Otherwise if they didn't, it doesn't really make a good impression on these characters. But sometimes it isn't enough for most characters. I'll go ahead and list this evolution on the screen, but in the showcase, I'll be showing you guys the evolution in action. For the Mastery Stones, Armor, HP Attack and Defense, Headwear, HP Attack and Magic Defense, Weapon Accessory, HP Attack and Skill. Show is really only good in regular content, but if you guys want to put on Arena Stones, then you can do an offensive or defensive set. Show is an attacker, so if you want to see him do damage, then an offensive set would be really nice. His best soldiers include the Steel Winged Warrior. They are a bit better than the Angels, Lizard Rider as your harder hitting soldier, as well as the Gallant Duelist because they have that crit rate, especially Sensi Mercenary. They can hit extremely hard, and the only soldier that Show can use that has really good self-sustaining power. Vanguard aren't bad as well. They can hit well, has reflect damage to melee attacks while having a little bit of healing, just like fixed healing. They can be okay to use if you maybe have them tank damage, but Sensi is better overall for the flexibility in the stats. His best weapon includes Bone Crusher for the defense drop, Mimir, Crystal Stinger, which is fine in regular content, but if it's something that you want to use in PvP, if you're really dedicated to using Show in PvP, then you will want a specific type of build so that you can raise up that skill to get that defense ignore. The best armor to use is the battle armor. It reduces damage if being attacked, if you're lucky that is. Aeolus or Bloodline are the next best thing to use. Time Mat is not bad, but this will mean that you cannot use any of his infantry soldiers if you want that magic reduction. For the best helmet, Tear for more damage, or Aeneas for his defensive stats. With the best accessory, Apex or Wings for the mobility. For killing power, you want Judge, Slayers or Prisoners. Some situational ones are Wing and Shin Guard for the extra defense when being attacked. Bloodthirsty Nail for silence immunity. Insidious Pendant if you're running the Crystal Stinger. As for best enchants, Breeze, you can do Rough Sea, really only an option to use in regular content. You also have Meteor for more damage. If you have the Crystal Stinger with the Insidious Pendant, then Blazing Sun is what you want. Even Tear helps too, I forgot to mention that. So yeah, if you have those 3, critting should be no problem. His best enchant stats will be HP and attack, which is mainly what you want. Getting a mix of defense and magic defense will be even better, especially if you get crit as your 3rd stat on your accessory. But getting that 3rd slot shouldn't really be your focus. Getting just tons of HP and attack is what you really should look for. Alright, so hopefully you guys have an idea on how to build this Show. Let's go ahead and check out his first awakening stage. Alright, so in this stage, you're going to be up against Matthew, Agito, and then Arkenfell. Now these 3 skills are really your only option to use. You got the unique one for the defense ignore, Sunslash for the healing, and then you got his passive, which gives you a shield when being attacked, which makes him pretty tanky. Now the thing about this one is basically a revive, but it will not work on here. The best soldier that you can use is the Giant Lizard Rider to deal with Matthew and Agito so much more easier. You got Steel Winged Warrior, Angels, Griffin Knight, Vanguard, Gallant Duelist, even Sensi Mercenary. They have really good sustain power, which is what I also really recommend. Now the thing with Show is that his upgrades are pretty random to get. So right now I do have the one where I strike first. Now the one that you really want is the increased range or defense ignore. Just having more range helps you outrange them, helps you one-shot them easier, obviously. So if you do have those kind of upgrades, congrats, you basically won. If your Show can't take hits, then the upgrade that you want is the one where it allows him to heal. That buff makes it so that after he gets attacked, he will heal. And also you can really turnstile pretty easily. So just hang back, just chill, and every round, you're gonna get a random buff. And right there, just what I wanted, unit range increase. And to upgrade it, he just cannot take damage after battle. Even his skill range does get affected by it. So let's go ahead and use the skill that ignores defense, and we're good. And if you have to, position yourself well so that you're on the defensive terrain. And getting a kill does get us an upgrade, and look at that, got the defense ignore. And it seems like that it activated immediately rather than killing Matthew. So that's pretty neat. And look at that, super regeneration, the healing that I was talking about. I will wait an additional turn so that I get my last upgrade. Show only gets 5 of them. Now I can actually fulfill all of these requirements in this single turn. Just be unhurt after battle, have 90% HP after battle, and move 5 blocks. Oh, it looks like I didn't get the upgrade because I actually killed Agito, but as long as we have this, we should be able to deal with Arcanfall just fine. But you do want to stay back an extra block away from Arcanfall because he does have an AoE. He will buff himself up, but with his unique skill, you can dispel it. Plus, you should be able to one-shot him with all of these defense ignored. So we go ahead and attack Arcanfall and he'll be out. So yeah, Sho can be a hard hitter. Plus with the fact that he's quite tanky too, with upgrades that gives him a massive boost, is quite incredible. Getting that one upgrade where you attack first will be super beneficial if your Sho isn't as strong. And it's a matter of fact of tanking their hits, which shouldn't be an issue with his defense increase and the shield. Plus he can also still hit first, even being attacked as well. So yeah, just get those upgrades and it'll all be a breeze. Alright, so we're on to his 3C. 5 turn cooldown that reaches 2 blocks long. The passive on it, after taking action, if possessing 3 or more aggressive evolution effects, reduces all skills cooldown by 1. It's a single target skill before battle, increases enemies damage taken by 20% for 2 turns, cannot be dispelled, and soldiers can attack with them. This 3C kind of feels like free character material right here, just as simple as it can be. Alright, so if you guys are curious, this is what his 3C animation looks like. Alright, so to anyone new around here, normally with how the second awakening stages go, I normally don't show them off unless they are really difficult to do, which 90% of the time they really aren't. You get 3 other characters that you can use, and they're really reliable. They'll hard carry you. Alright, so with that being said, let's go right on into his showcase. Alright, so let's take a look at Sho. Attack and defense are increased. At the start of the turn, randomly gets one type of evolution not yet possessed, which cannot be dispelled. It lasts for 2 turns, utilizes the advantages of the evolution to amplify it and make it a permanent effect. Upon triggering an upgrade, immediately gains 1 additional type of evolution not yet possessed. So at the start of the battle, he randomly gets 1 type of evolution. So right now I have high frequency, ignores enemy's defense. And to upgrade it, he just needs to eliminate an enemy. Now he can get multiple of these, but only 5 of these exist. So the next round, he should get another one, which is gravity control, and he needs to at least move 5 blocks in a single turn to upgrade it, giving him +2 mobility. We can actually get both of these to upgrade at the same time. So let's go ahead and check out this cavalry, and by killing this cavalry, he should get an additional upgrade. So there's the effect taking place, we check him out, and all the way at the bottom, you can see those buffs that he had are now permanent and stronger. And by killing that cavalry, he does get another type of evolution. And he got 2 more upgrades because if you read his talent again, whenever he triggers an upgrade, he will immediately get another type of evolution that he does not have. So let's check out these upgrades, right? Increased range, upgrades when undamaged after battle, and super regeneration. After battle, recovers 20% HP when HP is above 9% after battle. And into the next turn, he got the final evolution type that he can get, which is him striking first when being attacked, and it will upgrade when he ends his turn on the danger zone. And we can actually get all of these upgraded at the same time, with the way how things are right now. My Sho is at 83% HP, but with the way how things work with the upgrades, like everything else takes place before the upgrade. So stuff like Rosentio's passive healing, that will trigger first before Sho upgrades his buff. We got the unit range from safely attacking without getting hurt. We got super regeneration upgrade from staying above 90% HP after battle. And we are able to attack first in general now, because we ended his turn on the danger zone. And these are all of his unique buffs that he can get. So now he's at his maximum potential. Sho can move forward with good range, really good killing power from the defense ignore, and being incredibly safe from attacking first and after battle healing. And the thing about his range is that even his skills gets affected by it too. So yeah, it's just increased range in general. And this unique skill is pretty good. It's a single target that has a 2-turn cooldown before battle, dispels 2 buff from the enemy, and ignores 20% of the enemy's defense for the duration of this battle. And we're also going to take a look at his shield as well at the same time. Before being attacked, forced into battle, gains Shroud, which gives him a 20% shield. So we're going to go ahead and take a look, and we're going to have everything all take place, except for the shield, which we will get to see in a bit. So yeah, he can actually get a 50% defense ignore, 60% if he's carrying the Crystal Stinger. That is incredibly high. So yeah, you're gonna see Sho hit crazy damage. Plus when you add to the fact that Sho can be fine just by himself thanks to these upgrades, while also carrying the shield as well, it just helps him out so much. Just constant healing, and the shield has like no cooldown, which is kind of surprising, not gonna lie. Always gonna be attacking quite safe, attacking really hard. Sho is just that crazy. Plus it's really easy to trigger all of these effects. quite the bulky attacker. Like, imagine if Sho with all of these stuff as a tank. That honestly might be something very funny to see in something like Endless Voyage. Quite satisfying too. Like, the RNG factor is very similar to like Girl in the Shell, but it's like so incredibly boring. The path to making Sho much more stronger just seems way more satisfying. His other unique skill is also a single target. Before battle, dispels all mobility boosting effects from the enemy, reducing the mobility by 2, and they cannot guard for 1 turn that cannot be dispelled. So yeah, right now this Anarchy does have the mobility increase, and so by using this, it should only dispel just that buff while crippling him. So yeah, I guess it's a nice way to just ruin enemies who can guard, crippling tanks, or just cripple the enemy in general. His other passive is quite unique too. Upon death, places a control unit at the start of next turn, Sho regenerates from it and enters excess defense state, where he's uncontrollable and does not take damage when initiating battle. He can act again after removal, cannot be dispelled, ignores immunity, lasts for 1 turn, and can only trigger every 4 turns. So we are gonna put Sho all the way over here, because this way, the Anarchy will buff himself up, giving him the mobility that he needs, and does his skill, which kills most of the time you don't have Lancer soldiers. And if you go ahead and take a real close look at it, you can see that he places like this little thing that kind of glows. I can click on it and it doesn't really show anything. The tile is very similar to Awakeners, the way how it works and everything. So once Sho is killed, it treats him as him being dead, similar to Awakener. If Sho is by himself, it will not trigger because the game treats him as being dead. So now if we go ahead and check what he has, excess defense, where he cannot be controlled and does not take damage when he attacks, as again after removal, and there's a cooldown. Oh yeah, and also another thing though, is that if Sho has any buffs on him before he died, very similar to Awakener, he loses it. I can click on Sho and I cannot do anything with them. Like I can click on Sonya and I can move around with her, select skills, but I cannot do that with Sho. I simply have to wait until I use up all these characters who are able to move before we can use Sho. And so right after ending the last character's turn, Sho will do his thing, he'll do whatever he wants, he does whatever, taking very minor damage, and then he can act again immediately. And now we're free to use Sho. And once that debuff is removed, he can actually revive as much as he wants. Once revive is triggered, you have to wait 4 turns again, and then he can activate it every time, for each time that it has occurred. When he revives the 2nd time, wait 4 turns, and it'll be back up. Revive a 3rd time, wait 4 turns, and it'll be back up again. Rinse and repeat. Quite good now seeing it in action, even though sometimes that you may not carry it as much as you think, because he will lose all of his buffs, and you're gonna have to get them all back again. And with the fact that Sho is pretty tanky himself, he won't die easily. And then lastly, into his 3C. He can attack from 2 blocks that has a 5 turn cooldown. After taking action, if possessing 3 or more evolution, reduces all skill cooldown by 1. It's a single target skill. Before battle, increases enemies damage taken by 20% for 2 turns, cannot be dispelled, and soldiers can attack with you. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. It's like way too generic. And let's see how this looks like. Man, that detail was kind of cool. I think that's like one of the best one out of like all the other collabs, because it was actually something different. And he shot out like laser beam from his chest. What's it called? Mega Smasher? They should have just called it chest cannon. That would have been a lot more cooler. So yeah, there goes the debuff. Damage taken increased by 20%. That cannot be dispelled. And if you do check out his skill, the passive did take place, so it's on a 4-turn cooldown. Yeah, a very strong one indeed, thanks to his like upgrade and everything. Maybe that's why his 3C feels like kind of generic, because all of his upgrades makes him crazy strong, but I don't know. It's hard to explain that when you have other characters with also like insane talents with even crazier 3Cs. So yeah, Sho is just lucky that his talent buffs are really the main aspect of him that makes him significant when using him. If he didn't have these, no doubt that he would feel like a free character. So overall, Sho becomes quite the monster with all of his upgrades. Most of them really makes a huge difference, like attacking first, healing after battle, and range increase. Combine that with his shield, he can be pretty independent, especially if he gets buffed up. His revive skill is pretty surprising, seeing as it acts almost very similar to Awakeners. Carrying his shield is really insanely good enough to keep this guy alive in most situations. His after battle healing and shield being constantly activated, plus if you have something else like Resentials after healing. There will be boss fights where he can't upgrade his range and defense ignore. Range can be irrelevant sometimes, so it's not as huge as the defense ignore. In general though, upgrading is quite easy to pull off, But in PvP, it is so much more worse, since he has to engage if he wants to even upgrade them. And you really want that too, to have that increased range, attacking first, even having defense ignore. At least the mobility increase is really easy to get, but that's always the best that you're gonna have. You really see how much RNG that show relies on. Like, you can get lucky and get the range increase, but it doesn't really last that long, and is it really the right time for him to do something? Stuff like that will really get into your mind. Upgrading them too is such a pain if you want to make it permanent. That in itself is more of a challenge than actually trying to win. You would have to be insanely lucky to use Show. Alright, so that was Show's showcase. In regular content, he's amazing to use, as it's way easier, and I mean way easier, to get him at his full potential. All you gotta do is find a way to buff him up, and he will put up a lot of work. In PvP, RNG is the biggest challenge about using him, plus it's way harder to upgrade his buffs. There's other better attackers for you to use, even for regular content. So in conclusion, Show is good in regular content, while being really bad in PvP. Is Show worth it though? Not really. Quite fun to use, as it's really satisfying to get him at his max upgrade, but there's a ton of characters out there for you to use who can do a lot more better job. But that's all I got. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe when you see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about Show, or if you guys have anything else to say about him. So yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.